Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. The rain was persistent that night, each drop hammering against the grimy window of Detective Jonah Creed's cramped office like a relentless reminder of the city's dark pulse. Even in the midst of the storm, the neon glow of flickering signs cast a sallow light across his desk, littered with case files and half-empty coffee cups. He leaned back in his creaky chair, rubbing his temples. The last missing person case he worked on had gone nowhere. Then again, most of them did. Lost souls swallowed whole by the city's shadowed streets. The sharp buzz of his office phone cut through the dreary silence. He reached over, picked it up, and heard a crackling voice say, "You're needed downtown. Someone's gone missing, and it's got your name all over it." Jonah grunted. The city had a cruel sense of humor, and tonight, it was playing its worst joke. He glanced at the thick manila envelope slid across his desk by the young courier moments earlier. He hadn't opened it yet. Now, with trembling fingers, he peeled open the seal. Inside was a missing person file, static, official, and chillingly familiar. He pulled out the first page, and his breath caught. There, pinned beneath the stark header, "Missing Person," was a photo unmistakably his own, a candid snapshot of him taken years ago, a younger version with a thin smile and the weary eyes of a man who had seen too much. Below the photo, typed neatly, was his name, Jonah Creed. Next to it, the date he supposedly vanished, 2 days ago. His mind raced. Someone had to be messing with him. Identity theft, a sick prank, or a carefully laid trap? Whatever it was deeply personal, and it put the very fabric of his life under siege. Jonah flipped through the rest of the file. There were testimonies from supposed witnesses, vague descriptions of his movements, and cryptic notes penned in a hurried hand. One page contained a grainy surveillance image of a man matching his description, walking into a nondescript building on the city's west side. The timestamp was recent, only hours old. He stuffed the file into his coat, grabbed his worn leather satchel, and stepped out into the rain-slicked streets. As he walked towards the subway, each step echoed his growing unease. How could he be missing when he was standing, breathing, right here? And more than that, why would anyone want the world to think he was? The building he found was an abandoned warehouse, its brick facade scarred by time and neglect. A flickering street lamp cast long shadows, and the smell of damp and rust hung in the air. Jonah pushed open the heavy metal door with a creak and stepped inside. The warehouse was dark, cavernous. Only the faint outline of discarded crates and broken machinery danced in the pale moonlight filtering through shattered windows. He called out softly, "Hello? Anyone here?" A shuffle responded from the far corner. Jonah moved cautiously but quickly. There, seated against a stack of crates, was a slender figure, a young woman, dirt-smudged and trembling. She looked up, eyes wide with fear and hope mingled. "Are you Jonah Creed?" she asked, voice quavering. "I'm here," he said gently. "Who are you? Why am I missing?" She exhaled, relief flooding her features. "My name's Emily, and I need your help. You've been erased. Your life, your records, everything about you is disappearing from the city's system. And worse, someone's framing you for crimes you didn't commit. Please, you have to trust me." Jonah's head spun. Emily's story was like something out of a paranoid thriller. But in this city, escaping the shadow of a bad decision, or worse, a dangerous enemy, was everyday reality. "Who's behind this?" he asked, voice low. "And why?" Emily looked down, hesitant. She pulled out a crumpled piece of paper from her coat. "I found this in my brother's things after he disappeared last month. He was investigating you, or maybe someone who wanted you gone." The note was cryptic, filled with strange symbols and a map pointing to an unmarked location within the city's sprawling underground tunnels. Jonah felt a chill. The underground tunnels were a maze where secrets thrived and disappeared without a trace. If he was to clear his name, and find out who wanted him missing, he'd have to navigate them. "All right," he said, tucking the note into his pocket. "Where do we start?" Together, Jonah and Emily headed toward the old subway entrance that led to the underground labyrinth. The air grew colder, heavier, filled with the echo of dripping water and distant footsteps. As they descended, Jonah's mind pieced together a tapestry of betrayal and conspiracy thicker than the fog of the city above. They moved silently, winding through the tunnels, until they reached a door, half hidden behind a collapsed wall. Emily took a deep breath and opened it. Inside was a small room, dimly lit by a single bulb, walls covered with photographs, maps, and files spanning years. And at the center, a corkboard pinned with dozens of pictures, among them, multiple images of Jonah, each from different times and places, as if someone had been watching him closely. On the table lay a stack of papers detailing Jonah's past investigations, cases he had pursued, enemies he had made, secrets he had uncovered that powerful city figures wanted to bury. His gaze locked on a file titled, Operation Ringer. Emily stepped closer. "Ringer was your last case before you disappeared. You were investigating corruption in the city's elite and stumbled onto something big. Your brother was trying to find out what happened to you, but he got too close and vanished." Jonah's stomach twisted. The threads converged into a terrifying reality. Someone was framing him, using his own identity as bait, and crushing anyone who got too near. Suddenly, the room was bathed in steady, menacing light. The heavy metal door slammed shut behind them. Footsteps echoed. They weren't alone. A tall figure stepped forward from the shadows, familiar, cold-eyed, authoritative. "Detective Creed," the man said with a sinister smile. "Welcome back." The man was Vincent Kane, a high-ranking official whom Jonah had accused years ago but never had proof against. Kane's grip on the city was ironclad, and now, he was turning the game back on Jonah. "Your disappearance was staged to discredit you," Kane explained coolly. "Erasing you from all records, framing you for crimes you didn't commit, ensuring you'd never uncover what's been festering under the city's skin." Jonah's fists clenched. "What do you want?" Kane chuckled darkly. "You were a problem. Now, you can be the perfect ringer. Someone to take the fall while I conduct my business without interference. Join me, and I might let you walk away. Resist, and you'll be missing for good." Emily looked at Jonah with fierce determination. "We can't let him win." Fueled by desperation and the raw will to survive, Jonah nodded. "I'm not your pawn." The next hours were a blur of tense confrontation and quick thinking. Jonah used his knowledge of the tunnels to find an escape route, leaping through narrow corridors and hidden passages, Emily close behind. Kane's men pursued like shadows of death, their footsteps ever louder. At the surface, the city greeted them with indifferent neon glow and the rumble of restless traffic. They emerged drenched and gasping into an alleyway, the rain still falling, washing away the grime but never the danger. Jonah knew their fight was far from over. But for the first time in days, he had a clue to unraveling the conspiracy that had stolen his identity and endangered everyone he cared about. Back at his office, Jonah stared at the missing person file. The same one that had drawn him into this nightmare. The photo of himself no longer symbolized disappearance. It was a reminder of the man he was and would be again. A detective chasing shadows, fighting the city's darkest storms on his own terms. His phone rang again. This time, a new voice crackled on the other end, offering a single message. "They're coming for you, Creed. Be ready." Jonah's eyes narrowed. The game had only just begun. For more stories, like and subscribe.